Ta-da! We did it.
Hello!
We're here. Hello. Hello, everyone. We are
We're here.
in this place at this time. Boom.
Are we audible? Am I audible?
You should be. I can see
Oh,
levels.
I am. I am. I'm just... There's more delay than I thought there was.
It's just quiet.
That's okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I,
Fix it.
I am.
No, you just... I can fix it on my end if you are having a quiet day.
Oh.
It might just be that you haven't spoken very much. That
Yeah.
is entirely
I was like,
possible.
never mind, my microphone is turned up to max volume. So...
Yeah, no. I am controlling the levels. Don't you worry about it. I'm here
I need to get
hoping
my
that
old
we never
microphone
ever
back.
pop and keeping an eye on those things. Sam, go ahead. You run game. I will monitor the other stuff because
The other
that's what I
stuff.
do.
Oh, that's the thing. I was gonna... Hang on. I just wanted to see if I turn that... If that goes...
What are you trying to
I
do?
actually don't know. I was like, I'm gonna see, like, make sure that it just checked that I wanted to test that Sirenscape was coming through
It is
on the Twitter side, and so I tried turning it down
on the Twitter
on
side. Nothing is happening on
Twitter
Twitter.
side, Twitch side, and
Right.
so I
I mean,
tried
it
to
should
just
be.
turn it.
I've got levels for it.
Yeah, so I tried like muting it from myself on my end. So I was like, and then like there was, it didn't seem like there was any difference. And I was like, I don't know if it's
You've
just not
only
turning
got stuff
down on
that's
my end or
doing.
if it is work. It was whatever. I'm not going to worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
It's
All we
fine.
had playing really was just audio. I'll
Just
add
the
music
ambient.
to it, and then that will make it more clear to you that
Oh,
we're doing stuff.
I can definitely hear it. I was just making sure. Just wanted to double check it was coming through.
Okay. Yeah. For the
It's
audience,
fine.
I added some Sirenscape to this whole doodad for funsies.
Because why not?
Why not? Sam, take us away.
Yeah. So how are you doing? After last week? After last week's?
After last week.
After
So many things happened for these kids.
Yeah, it kind of kicked off.
Things happened for these kids. And you know what? I'm glad. Because why else would we play?
Yeah.
If not for things to happen to these kids, but not to us.
Yeah, if anyone was worried that this particular anime was going to be all about the will they, won't they? No.
Nah. They will.
It's going to be what happens after they will.
Continue? Will they continue though? That's the will they. It's the
Yeah.
But will they? Will they actually though?
What does it mean after you have that?
On episode 1.
Yeah. We're not going to wait. This isn't Yuri on Ice. We're not waiting for the entire season before they can hint that something happens.
Who needs a whole season when you can have episode 1 and we've actually resolved?
It's fine. Everything's good and nothing's going to go wrong ever again. Oh wait, that's not how the game works.
Don't wait. Actually, yes, because we did our upkeep off stream.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But how are you after the events of last week?
I'm concerned for them, I guess.
Concerned?
It's like,
why? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's not like you know, like the mechanics they're not called joy tokens. They're called trouble tokens.
I mean, trouble can be good. That
is entirely fair.
Trouble have.
That's entirely fair.
6 worth of fun with trouble.
Yay.
I mean, truly, at this point, what are D20s if not like sex rolls? That's all. Dice aren't for this game. This game doesn't use dice, so it's just like If I have to roll, I desperately need to roll dice in my life.
It's gonna make Dungeons and Dragons really weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't played D&D for so long.
Same actually.
I will. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think I've played anything that needs a D20
How
for
does
a
this
while.
game start? Huh? You
I was
haven't
about to
played
say, I don't
anything.
think. I don't know. Does it? I'm just.
I mean, the opening credits generally.
Opening credits about. I don't know if we do a. Oh, they. I was like, they do have a thing about a previously on. We can do a
Yes.
previously on.
Previously.
Previously on Foil Ambition. Obviously, we're introduced to Ọláyẹmí and Henri, or Henry, depending on who's talking.
Indeed.
We had the party where both of them were confronted by one of their different members of their friend circle about their various their own unique brand of nonsense, and kind of were put them on the path. So we had Henry finally told his parents that he's doing. He came out to his parents as a sports person.
Mom, Dad, I like sport.
Oh God, it's just a phase.
I want to be an athlete. Oh God, please no. Anything. You could have chosen anything. You could have said, I want to be a dancer, and that would have been better because it's athletic, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
Or they had to go further and be like, I'm playing football, and they're like, it's okay, we'll get through this.
Yeah.
No, they were very good about it. Ultimately it was more Henry coming to terms with his own unconscious hang-ups that he's put on himself.
Yes.
And realizing that he spent the last however many years kind of with blinders on, and then it sort of all kind of ramped from there when he's like, what else have I missed? And then cue Ola. And it's just like, wait, who also was spiraling in their way and had to but got some advice from the coach.
Yes.
Got some advice from Jade. Got some, I guess, got something from Nani.
The way I nearly said some poo Nani.
Oh, it's probably like a high school nickname. Anyway.
Oh no!
It wasn't kind. It wasn't. You know,
no,
kids can be mean.
It's
Kids
not
can be
kind.
mean.
Not inaccurate, just unkind.
but you know, they kind of both resolved to do better, and they went into the quarterfinals with that resolve. It almost kind of backfired on them and threw off their game, but both of them rallied. Both of them helped their squad triumph, and then in a moment of high spirits, they kissed. They made out.
Yeah.
Which that picture's probably in every piece of media that reports on fencing, which obviously, as a sports anime, is all of them.
Yes. Every single one.
And then we finished with suddenly blanked on his name, Friedrich, the pro fencer who had previously been on their team, coming and thanking everyone, and we kicked off that there may be something between Henry and Friedrich's sister.
Yeah. Which is funny, actually, because I really genuinely did believe that the way that you had set it up, Friedrich was an adult. When I say adult, I mean like older generationally than these 19-year-olds, you know?
I think that was like originally, but then we looked up like average age for like professional fencers, and given that he's like actively doing that, that puts him more like mid-20s.
Yeah, so he's like 25-ish.
So he's like sort of 25 thereabouts. Because I think it was like when we just talked about like Friedrich and the coach were like a bit older, and they were like, well, actually, they would be older than the main characters, but not actually by as huge an amount.
That makes sense.
And so that's why initially when I introduced them, it's like, and his daughter. Wait. Sister. That doesn't work.
That one. That age instead.
Yeah.
Unless he has a kid at a very young age.
Yes.
Which is possible, just unlikely, given the socioeconomic demographic that we are working in.
Yeah, look. I'm not spending travel tokens on an NPC.
I mean, you might, but like not about this.
Not right here and now.
So that's our previously. Which is pretty expertly done. Where are we now? What are we? What's happening now?
I guess it cuts to the opening credits, which, as always, is a sweeping view of the city by the sea. Sweeping through, cuts first through. Keep forgetting all the sort of Newcrest, which we've seen, which is the very shiny looking one. But then we get to South Beach, which is kind of like similarly modern into Newcrest, but it's much less showy and much more new. It's everything's new, but it's also very like functional. There wasn't a lot of thought putting into like making it look any better than it really needed to, because it's like, we have a budget and we need to do certain things, but being glitzy and fancy isn't one of them.
Yeah.
So it's got this whole vibe of just like new but determined and like focused on the goal kind of thing, which is then reinforced when we see the Sharks, the South Beach Sharks, in their magenta and yellow uniforms training, and there's much less people than there were with the Neons. There's still some people who aren't just the fencers, but it's much more just like these people are focused on being the best fencers they can be, on working out to make to really cement themselves as a contender. And we see one of the people is someone we'd seen earlier, which is Neil Byrne, who is one of the friends group with Henri and Ola. Neil's the one who confronted Henri about not talking to his parents and kind of gave him a lot of shit for that. And he's clearly like, if everyone else is like determined and committed, he's just like the example of that, the text of that.
Yeah.
As we leave that, we pass briefly through Ash Point. We see that the grandeur of this sort of old brick that just like exudes legacy and privilege. And then we end at Dockside, which still has that brick, but stained from being near the industrial dock areas for years of soot and smoke and dust. And then we see the Demons still high off their quarterfinals win, getting into their training. Which, speaking of the upkeep that we did, we added some stuff for the teams have what they call the team special, which is partially like how other people sort of view them to an extent, or it's like the issues, I guess, that each team is
like how
working
rumors
against.
travel, what people
Yeah,
think of
and
other people.
and I like rumors. Like sometimes they might be accurate, sometimes they might not be, and which is why during the upkeep there's a phase where it's kind of like, have we sort of proven to our others like, no, that's just not the case anymore, and so they change, and so we added. I think we're deciding. I think we can just keep all of them. I feel.
I
Because
think we added some. We added
yeah, we got rid of one.
a
I
couple
think
of
we had
things.
two that we were like, well, both these things seem, but I think they're both accurate. So I think we just keep it at both.
Yes.
So the three currently are, it's so easy to get under their skin. Their mental game is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're super emotional, and finally that this is just the last gasp of a dying team. This latest winning streak.
Yeah. Because now it is a winning streak. Because it has been one whole game, and until we're beaten, it is a winning streak.
Well, it's because they won the game before the final started, and
They did.
presumably they won a bunch before that. So
That is true.
they at very least to be going from strength to strength.
Yes.
Um,
My oh
but
my, are they?
obviously, we see our two protagonists. So, what in this snapshot are we seeing of Ola? We sort of see them both training, and then we get a snapshot of Ola.
I think I think we see them. Well, you see them both training, and then like it's it's a flashback to like maybe 2 days earlier, and Ola's throwing up in the toilet and shivering. That's kind of what we get to. That's what we see. I don't know how else to say that. They're
Does
a person with an addiction they're trying to break. That's just kind of what it is.
do they still have the two water bottles?
They do, but it is if what they had I mean it's not this is not the right measurement, but if what they had before was a shot's worth, now it is half of that, and every day there's slightly less in there. They are actively trying to
It's sort of
mix
weaning
it.
rather than just going cold turkey.
And they kind of have to because of how quickly the next match is. Like even if it's like a couple of weeks later or a month later, they still have to be able to train.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include like, can I go to exams? Can I make sure that I somehow hide this from my family?
Yeah.
You know, they haven't told anyone. They never told anyone. Henri found out. There's a difference
Yeah.
between
I
telling
found out
anyone
by accident.
and
I
having
think
someone
like
find out.
the coach had noticed and been like,
Yeah.
and also I don't think anyone really knew how bad it had gotten.
No.
Like they knew it was like this is going to potentially be an issue, but it's like no, it had been an issue for a while.
Yeah.
No one else
Exactly.
had like cottoned onto that.
Yeah. And so it it remains an issue, but it is one that they are taking steps to try to make not an issue. Um, yeah. But beyond that, they are training just as hard as they were. They're probably sweating more than they were before.
Yeah.
If anyone actually was paying attention, they're probably sweating more than they were before, and that's going to be the most of it.
Henri, training there as well, is kind of is just running, I guess, like some kind of drill or something, is really cementing in their whole like they're sort of playing catch up in learning technique and they're obviously getting better with their own technique. there's a degree of like also then needing to be able to respond to what the person you're up against is doing. So it's like, it's not just you have this technique and it's like this. It's like, okay, but if they're doing some, you know, if they do X, you need to do Y.
Yeah.
And that needs to be something you switch to almost without thinking. And that's sort of trying to get that kind of muscle memory. So it's just running it. And, you know, having, you know, different people come at them with different,
everyone has their own special.
Everyone has their own thing, and everyone has their own. I mean, Ola and the coach are both quite like, okay, I'm just gonna change. I'm just gonna do this now. Work on this. Do this, and is able to sort of. So, but you know, it's still worth going up against the rest of the team, different points, and. But outside of that, it's still sort of like there's a degree of like you see we've seen, you know, his sort of like montages of his day where it's like he's up pre-dawn to work out, goes to classes, goes to training, but now there's this sort of like this extra thing where obviously he's spending more and more time with Ola, and there's probably like a sense that it is cutting into
How
other
is
thing.
He keeping up?
I think, you know, he's currently sort of he was sort of like he was ahead.
Yeah.
So there was like a buffer, I guess, and
add something that sort of fits into that a little bit. You know how we see him going through his day and his like pre-dawn, dawn, like all of that. In the pre-dawn, it could be a split scene where Ola's throwing up, but then goes for a run.
Yeah.
He's already gone home. So that's what that scene is now. It's not that Ola's not awake yet. It's Ola's awake and has to be up early to deal with, oh, this is shit.
Body
this
just
is today's shit.
Body responding badly to being cut off with the thing that had been taught to need.
Yes.
I think there's definitely I don't know if we see like there's him studying and then like stop studying when, you know, Ola comes up, and there's this suggestion that like whatever buffer he had is probably
there is no buffer.
It's been eroded to the point now where it's like it's not become an issue, but it's like I don't know if he doesn't he's kind of, you know, but they're definitely in like, I guess, you know, the honeymoon period, as it were, where it's like, you know, this has been a long time coming, particularly for Ola, and it's like,
and that's why sick time is there. Now it is not sick time.
Yeah.
So that it can also be Henri time.
Yeah.
It's the entirely unrealistic attempt to reach those goals.
Yeah.
Plus fame.
Neither of them are like, yeah, there's probably like maybe even like a sort of like at one point there's like a scene transition which is just like an article going across where it's like there's, you know, pictures of like both of them, which admittedly it's like
people coming up to them while they're at lockers, because they would. They'd be like, did you actually do this? Was this a thing you like? People ask questions.
And then as usual, we end with the demons lining up against the sharks. There is a clash of foils. Which, let's see if this works. There is a clash of foils.
Yes, very nice.
forming the X behind the title, Foil Ambition.
Very nice.
And we move into the daily life. Do you have a scene in mind?
I did. I sent you something saying, hey, this is an idea. Oh no, it was for an event. Do you have an idea? Because I usually go first. Is there one that you have, a vignette or a scene?
I did. I kind of accidentally did it for the for the intro of that that suggestion of their time, but I mean, let's just have the two of them. They
Oh, we should probably also note there's been a condition shift.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing we did in upkeep.
Yes. Ola resolved their traits, or two of them, and replacement I added in the limelight, which is the completion condition is go out of your way to please the fans or shut down growing attention. And burnt out because trying to keep up with, hey, I actually just need time off to, like, I don't know, help me get over an addiction.
Cleanse.
But also gotta please the fans, gotta please this boyfriend who I've like always wanted in my life, and gotta like still study and daily life, and be as perfect a human being as it's possible to be within all of those things. That is a burnout condition right there, which can be completed if they unexpectedly retreat, falter, or stop dead, or go somewhere special to recharge. I don't deliberately intend for them to stop and be dead. Who knows?
That's a
I don't think that's how it's
stop
worded or
dead,
what
not
it's
stop
supposed to
and
be.
be dead.
You never know. You never know how intense things might get, right? We could come down to it not like this.
Yeah, does that work in a narrative scene? We're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out if it works.
I also know. I think you should have 2 spirit because you got
Because I
spirit
finished.
for the You get that when you get the trait,
Magic. Yes.
and then you either get a condition or an extra fight, and obviously you went for conditions.
Right.
So
So they have more spirit than they did before.
I think you should have 2.
Which
You get 1 for each of them.
Hmm?
You should have 2 spirit, not just 1.
I added 2.
Oh, it's only showing up with 1 on my end.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just not updated yet.
All good.
That spirit very desperately tries to leave their body every morning. Goodbye, spirits. Goodbye. And you didn't resolve a gentle heartache because
I didn't. I would have
thought you
assumed, but actually, when we read it, because the condition for that one is return with someone to a meaningful place or push yourself to move on. So, yeah, that having that moment with Ola does not actually complete the condition of gentle heartache, which is good. I think it's nice that it's obviously not that simple.
Yeah, there is more work to be done. Yeah.
It never is.
So, you know what? I feel like if there is a scene, it would be interesting to see how the two of them respond to popularity.
That was what I was actually thinking as well. Was like a scene where it's like the both of them are out, trying to have some time to themselves, and it's this like constant like revolving door of people being like of getting recognized, people calling out to them or coming up to them.
Yeah.
Some people seem more excited at the fact that it's like, oh god, it's both of them. It's like, oh, they are together. Oh goodness.
They actually are. It wasn't just a stunt for the neons. Wow.
Just
Are you sure? Are you like this in private? Like, are the two of you like? Do you do a thing in private?
Yeah. like, wow, they're going
Or
all
is it
out.
just now because, like, we're all here watching you? Like, what is that? Where do we think, um, would be a meaningful place for the 2 of them that they would be going to, could be going to? Like, what does that mean? What does that condition mean? Because I feel like that being part of it could be helpful. Like, we can get both conditions into this, is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be resolved with Ola.
True.
As obviously can be, and
It can be.
that's the sort of like uh, the logical direction. But like, I mean, if it turns out, it could also turn out like the relationship with Neil is potentially
Yeah,
more strained than Henry realizes, and
for sure. But in that case,
but
whom and where?
um,
Not to resolve it, but to see how
no,
many trouble tokens I can throw in the way that it isn't resolved. I just wanna know.
I just gotta.
Especially since, like, within the Limelight and Late Bloomer, both of them are about, like,
Yeah.
being publicly noted. So either of those are easy, like, almost easy to attack.
Um, I think this was like an attempt, like an actual sort of like. Obviously, they hang out, like either at uni or just whatever. But this was like sort of like attempt of like an actual date. Like, let's go on an actual.
You're
Um,
actually gonna try to go out and, like, I I feel like for Ola, that would be surprising.
in what sense?
The fact that Henry has spent so much time focused on like study and or fencing.
Yeah.
And yes, like as a group they would all go for parties, but I don't think Ola ever actually considered the, oh, we're actually together. Oh, we go places now.
Yeah, and I think it's been like, because it's, as we're saying, there's probably been like it's probably a couple of weeks between the
Mm,
finals matches. But I think there's a degree of like this might be at least like a week later, and
mm.
it has been kind of like they are spending more time together than you know previous, but like they were still hanging out at uni. They were still seeing each
Yeah.
other at training. So there was a lot of stuff that's like there's like it obviously feels more special with them both, you know, being quote unquote together to do all those things. But it's like there's kind of I think there was like there's probably been a moment where like and maybe Henry's been like, but also what if we actually did like
Just
a
did
more
a couple things.
stereotypically coupley thing?
Yeah.
And was like, and there may have even been like this moment of like, it's it's like, I can imagine all of like teasing him, like, are you asking me out? And he's
What's
like,
a date?
oh my,
Is that what's
it's,
happening?
it's a bit forward.
How
Um,
wow. Have you told my mother? Did you already get that go ahead?
and so I think,
Question, like, really, did you ask
yeah,
my mother? Did she know?
yeah, I think her exact words were, "Oh God, yes, please take her."
That traitor. That absolute traitor. Where are we
You
going?
know,
What are we doing?
um, I can't. I'm immediately blanking on something that would be a name for a restaurant, but like to be if we're gonna do like the stereotypical
My
thing, why
brain
don't we
said
just
the
go?
mighty trout. I don't know why.
Oh, hang
It's
on.
not it's not, but you said you need a name and that popped in.
Wait. So, according to Google, la puissante tweet.
Oh.
How much is that butchered?
Very. Le
Good.
puissant tweet? I don't know how.
It is
I
the
don't know
mighty
how
trout, but it's in French.
Yes.
So it's
Thank
fancy.
you. Mighty
trout.
Fun point to note. Given Ola's heritage, they do actually know how to speak French. It's probably why they got on with your family.
French is probably better than Henry's.
Oh, it would be. Yeah, it would be. It's a part of Africa colonized by the French, therefore speaks French.
It's like,
by definition, just to see family and interact with family.
I remember going to Vietnam, and there was a thing on I can't remember what's that series of guidebooks. I don't know. There's a series that where it's like they'll have guidebooks for all different countries, and but one of the things I think my mum found was like there's this. I have no idea if this is years and years ago, so I don't know if it's still something that they do, but there was this family that had basically opened their house up to tourists, and so you could basically go and see. It's like this is just basically a typical Vietnamese home, and so it had like the guy whose home it was, and then it was his. I think it was his son or daughter and their partner and their child. So they had these 3 generations, and you sort of just got to see the house and be like, which were very like narrow but tall, and in the area it flooded. So every building was designed so that for part of the year you just stopped using the ground, the ground level.
Okay, yeah.
So like, we went to like a restaurant that had like this. Depending on what time of year it would depend on which floor they were using. And so the houses were. I just remember having like all the stairs in the house were like, this is a ladder pretending to be a staircase. Like, it's very steep.
Right.
But the whole time he's explaining stuff, and I was like, there was something like, it's like there's something odd. I couldn't quite pick it until at the very end when I suddenly realized that when he spoke English, it was with a French accent, which was like, I had some realization. I was like, right, because he would have grown up during the French occupation. So he grew up during the French occupation, and then through the Vietnam War, and then through all that. So when he learned English, it was from
the French.
While there was the French. So his English had a French accent. Yeah. And it was just like, right, that tracks actually. Oh,
it's funny how colonialism does.
Yeah, it was just like,
colonists.
They'll
take your accent.
I think my favorite part also was like they don't. It's like every time they talk about the war, it was never, oh yeah, the Vietnam War. It's like, no, that's the American War.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
it is
right. That would 100% would be how that would be viewed.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, wild. Going to like historic sites, like this is where these temples used to stand. Notice they are now craters because of like military sappers. Like, fuck. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't even remember how we got there, other than
speaking of
restaurant.
Growing up in a previously French-controlled area.
Yes.
But yeah, they've arranged to actually go out.
Actually go out. Okay.
And upon arriving, it has just been this, essentially celebrity experience, which I don't think either of them have ever.
I bet they were seated in the window.
Yeah, which I don't. Maybe the Henry definitely. I don't know about all, but Henry definitely wouldn't have clocked that as like. It's like, oh yeah, that's the table that's available, or whatever.
I think Ola very quickly would have. I think they would have gone along with it because it seems as though they're going to get preferential treatment for such. But I think they would have immediately noticed, oh, this is a really nice section that is like different to that section over there, but it is also very much visible.
I'm going to spend a trouble.
Oh.
Because why not? The table has brought free wine.
Mm.
And it's like neither of them asked for it. But they're well-trained staff at a high-end restaurant. It's sort of like before you even realize it, it's like you now have wine, and they kind of like do it and then leave, and they're just like,
they do that pouring situation. They don't ask, they just pour it.
Yeah, it's like it's like on the house. This is like a very popular, and you're like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Ola's not going to touch it for now. Ola's not touching that wine. Whether or not they can continue with that, don't know. They're gonna just ignore it for the immediate, even though they're not ignoring it. They're just ignoring it.
I think there's this sort of like this, like neither of them say anything, but it's just, there's obviously this moment of just like, and then I think Henry, without really saying anything, just stands up, picks up the glasses, picks up, if they left the bottle, picks up the bottle, and just sort of goes up to them, and sort of very politely is like, incredibly touched by this, but we actually don't want alcohol. So if we can just have that, you can like just.
I'm gonna spend a trouble token
on,
and it's just, this is what this is going to be now. I'm going to spend a trouble token and have a fan at that moment head up to Henry to ask for an autograph. But also, this fan just happens to really know wine.
Have they like intercepted Henry before he got to like a staff person, or is it while they're having this conversation with the staff, being like, hey, can we
while they're having this conversation, and the staff are just a little bit dismayed at having opened this really nice bottle of wine.
Yeah.
A fan comes up and is like, oh my goodness, it's Henri Deroux. I don't know how you say it, but incredible match. Incredible. This wine, amazing. So this culture, French, everything, it's amazing.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the match. Sorry, I just need to. I appreciate the wine is wonderful. It does seem like it's a very nice wine, but neither of us are we're planning on drinking tonight. So
why not?
Oh,
victory to celebrate.
Yeah, but we're still in the finals, so gotta
reason not to have like one little glass.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna take this trouble token. I'm gonna milk it for everything it's worth, and I'm gonna say, are they like? Have you two? How long have you two like? Is she?
Is she
pregnant? Are they pregnant? Es pregante?
Henry just sort of what? He's very like definitely not like no, we're just don't like. Neither of us feel like drinking while we've still got training. We're still doing all. It just
At least sip it. It's good wine.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's good enough wine that it'll be almost entirely wasted on my palate. But like it said, it's, got focused on training and got to keep fitness up. And yeah, it's just one wine, but
Hmm.
I mean that's the focus, that's the discipline is, you know, I
All right.
mean,
Secret
but
safe with me.
no, that's sure.
Totally safe with me.
It's like, oh, good. That's gonna come back to. He's just sort of hands off the wine thing, gets back to the table, and is just sort of sits down. He's like, so, solid chance at some point going forward, there may be a rumor, or whispers or something that you and I are, well, I guess obviously more you than me, pregnant. So I guess be ready for that.
How?
Well, see, when two people like each other very much,
I know how. I know.
turns out that when you return a very nice bottle of wine, there can be no other reason. And so that nice person wanted to congratulate me on how we're going and was very excited that we were out and about. But that was the assumption they jumped on. And despite me pointing out that we were still focused on training and the tournament, and that was why we weren't drinking, they just sort of winked and said that the secret was safe with them. And I just feel like that's probably not true.
Well, that's a whole thing.
Look, just imagine how impressive they're going to find it that you just keep winning while, however many months pregnant.
It's not that impressive. Serena Williams exists.
It's like, I'm sorry. Did you just suggest that being on par with Serena Williams is not impressive?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. That is how that happened. That is what just happened there. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know how that's. I don't. That's shit.
Might have to mention it to our parents. Mom,
I'm not pregnant.
I'm not. Got exciting news for you.
Oh, no, I can't tell my mum that. I can't tell my mum that because her response will be, why? Why not? I can't tell. I cannot.
I can think of a list of reasons, but
I mean, there are a whole list of reasons, but shit. Okay, cool. Great.
no, I mean that's not the worry, obviously. You know what the actual worry is? When Jade finds out. Not to mention Neil.
Yeah. Yep.
We're not gonna hear the end of it.
We should tell them before they hear on social media or from anyone that's not us. That can only end poorly.
There's gonna be, and I'm not spending a trouble token on this. I'm just
saying it,
milking the one that's already there.
Oh yeah. We had to go into this scene.
There's like a both of their phones like
at the same time,
and like
it's the group chat.
There's just like this no, and look, and it's not. It's already hit. And there's some kind of like tabloid thing that like puts out, and you're just like.
And Jade's response is, "Just drink everything on camera immediately. Just
like
drink."
It's just like looks down, looks across to try and find this person who's like just notably not make. It's like puts their phone away, like goes back to their meal.
I don't even know that they do. I feel like it's more like just a casual wave.
You just I mean, not even.
Well,
you can't trust anyone.
We know where they went to school.
God damn it.
Damn those neons. Every single fucking time.
Oh well.
So what is a date for them like? All of the assumptions aside, I'm assuming that someone would come up to them 2 or 3 more times. Like I feel like it's not.
Yeah, I think it's probably it's not as confronting, but it is like there's a degree of like people being a bit sort of I hate to interrupt, but
yeah, and
can
also
I get your autograph kind of thing, or like can I get a photo?
Also nosy, and like that one person who's like staring at them trying to read their lips to be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, and there's the vibe of like this is all right, this is what's right. Okay,
so this is not this is it turns out that this thing we enjoy eating,
yeah,
and we enjoy company together, but this isn't company together. This is company with like everyone that everyone in the town.
And like and Oliver clocked it obviously pretty immediately, but I think there's like it's with like the second person where it's like Henry's like, oh right, and then it's like right, and the window right.
And this restaurant is popping today. It's busy.
Yeah.
The poisson trout is I didn't look it up. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm gonna look it up now because I feel like I'm butchering French, even though I'm
just
going
repeated
off
what Google Translate told me, which I feel is
it will be close.
It gets you by, but it's not. I don't know how it wouldn't call it reliable.
Puissant truite. Yeah. The mighty trout. The mighty trout is hopping today, as it were.
I mean, I think it's still, despite numerous interruptions, it's still good food in a nice place.
Yes.
And they are, at a place where I assume the staff are already top notch. You are getting special attention, and they're trying to make up for the fact they gave you alcohol that you clearly didn't want. So they're on hand to be.
I could very much imagine someone coming over with like a bottle of sparkling water instead and being like, we don't want to cause problems, especially if you're expecting. And then they just, before it can be explained, they leave.
Oh, God damn it.
They leave.
And he's just like, feels weird to call myself an athlete, but I feel like it's not that surprising for people doing training wouldn't drink. I don't see how this is.
This is what you get when you have a uterus. You're missing that one. That's the one you're missing. You're not drinking in solidarity. I'm not drinking for other reasons.
It's like,
I mean, it would
doctor's
be much
orders.
easier if I just told them, but
End of the day, you don't owe them that information. And they can make whatever assumption they want to make. We know what is going on. And that's fine. And the people who matter will listen. It won't stop Jade and Neil. But they'll do it knowing that they're taking the piss.
Yeah. Ping on the phone. So I'm godmother, right?
It's like, God.
Jade.
No, that attitude.
Truly. Okay. Do they both enjoy it? I feel like to some degree Ola does.
I'm sure it'd be like just the attention in general. It's like,
yeah.
I think there's a degree of obviously understanding that like it's like the recognition of like effort and ability, and also like that understanding that like it's 5th, 6th time this night for the both of them, but it's the first time for these people, and kind of want to be sort of appreciative of that.
And I think for
not get shitty on with the 7th person kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think also for Ola, like Ola has been fighting for so long with their right hand that it made them seem more normal. And now switching to left hand, that's the thing that I think has thrown people. Not so much the fight itself, but like you can do that with your left hand as opposed to with your right hand, which is what you were using before. So like all of the people you fought before, you were just what? Messing around?
Just styling on people.
Just toying around? What, none of them earned your left? What's going on here?
That narrative, the narrative of like Ola purposefully handicapping themselves to like up until the finals is just yum, 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 yum.
So for Ola, it's like, oh, I'm getting attention where I was not getting attention before, and I'm getting the attention, pregnancy notwithstanding, for the things that I want to have the attention for. Like attention for skill, attention for capacity. That is the thing that they love. It's not the side rumors are kind of not it.
Yeah.
So I think, especially on this date, that the thing that annoys them is like, no, don't take away from my skill to like turn it into whether or not he can get me with child immediately, because that's fucking weird, y'all.
And is that sort of like, have they just always been together, and this is just and you're just like, it's not the interesting narrative.
Yeah.
In either of their eyes, because Henry thought it was wild that part of the attention that he was getting was that because the narrative, as it were, was better than long-time fencer is good.
Yes.
And it's just like, no, but you don't understand. They're really good.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's. I think Henry ultimately has a good time. And as I said, I think other than that first person, everyone. I mean, they've all been very polite, but like no one's making assumptions. Everyone else is just excited to be there and get a photo or give their congratulations or probably like a have like what like a kid comes up and it's like, I want to do fencing because of you two, kind of thing. And you're like, well,
it's like you.
And everyone's like, see, look how cocky they get. You're like, God damn it! Shit! Got trapped by this.
They send up a small child to get a soundbite. How dare you? Damn it! She just has a recording device just hidden in their pocket. How dare you?
But yeah, I think ultimately it goes well. I think they get to maybe they go for a walk afterwards, and that's a bit more private. They just get to be with each other, as it were, and actually have that sort of. And it also might be, like I said, is that sort of like it is. I assume there is like a different vibe, as it were, because like obviously like hanging out the way they normally would, while technically being a couple, was obviously sort of heightens those moments. But actually, this is like their first sort of like. And like, I guess that both of them would have this worry of like, if we're actually going to do that, an actual dating activity, an actual sort of like couple thing, is like, is that something going to be?
Is that weird?
Is that what's going to make this feel weird? Is that? And it's like, no, it didn't feel weird. It was actually, it felt pretty good. And it's like, so there's the air of like nice, like good.
Yeah, this works out. Because it could have been like am I kissing my brother? No.
No. It's like
when it's like out of the heat of the moment. Is this what this is? No.
It's like, no, it definitely doesn't feel like I'm just sort of hanging out with a mate.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool. And so that's that sort of like unspoken sort of like, I guess, extra appreciation for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so moving on, do you have a scene and or vignette for?
I think that in the interest of following up on that third trait that I've got, I think Ola has to go talk to Coach Turner, because there is still an offer on the table. It's not for this season, it's for next season. But it's still there. And I don't know that they've, like, it's still there. But it doesn't just disappear because they win a match. If anything, it pops up because they won a match.
I mean, obviously they had recognition of Ola's ability before. And that would be the thing, like the people who really were in the know, who could really recognize that sort of thing, would have recognized that.
Yes.
So, with enough, which is like, the coach was like, Matthew Turner out, the Demons coach obviously knew he'd been coaching Ola for a while before he even joined the Demons. So
yeah,
and for all their sort of like appearance of being these spoiled, snooty people, the people on the arrows are a real deal. Like they unfortunately can back up.
Yeah, they can back up anything they say.
Back up what they're doing. So it's like they're also good. But yeah, so you're having this meeting. I assume this is like the next week or
yeah, sometime in the next week.
Yeah, just you come in like before training, or is it like during the day?
I think before training. I don't think it's like a specific. I don't think it's intense or like, hey, what's gonna
just rock up a bit earlier and then can we have a chat kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in their office?
Yeah, but I feel like it's like more of an open office prepping for training. Like I don't. It's not a formal thing.
Sort of
like I think they would have just like hurled themselves into coach's couch and just be like, I just don't know what, like, yes, there's everything is good, but there are still resources. It would be easier.
Yeah.
It would, like, I don't know, capitalize on the attention that I'm getting. So like
they have an excellent program over there. Not gonna suggest otherwise. They have more support, more backing from the university, more than we have currently. I mean, obviously, I'd prefer you to stay. I could tell you that with our recent success, there is definite mumblings that we might, assuming it continues and we can show that the dockside will likely next year probably put more of the budget our way and actually start giving us support again. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's going to be anywhere close to what Ashpoint can do. Like even at the Dockside's highest, they still weren't the same level of, in terms of facility and support, that you're going to find at Ashpoint. That's just,
I just don't know what the best thing is to do, because I mean, if Henri decides to go pro, who's a better competitor?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think I've ever seen anyone take to this sport the way Henri has. It's incredible. Like, I mean, you mentioned that you'd been telling him for years to join. I just want to go back in time and shake him and make him do it. Like, God, if and yeah, I guess, he's got potential to, if he chooses to do that, I'm sure he could. I'm sure he could pretty quickly get to a point where he could be a contender. He could do it professionally. But I feel like that's something he would, if he chooses to, he would still need to work towards it. He would need to get better.
I mean, I don't think anyone is going to stand in the way of that if that's what he wants.
I don't doubt it. Here's the thing. I feel like in some ways you could do it tomorrow. You've done the work. If Henri came to me and said that that's what he wanted to do, I'd be like, right, then we're not really going to change anything. We're already working hard to get him up to where he is. And then but that would be something to look at next year. You tell me that, I'm going to start making calls that day. And I think ultimately, if you're thinking of moving to Ash Point or anywhere, I don't think what would be best for Henri is something you should consider. I don't think that should at any point be the reason you do it. I think if you want to go to Ash Point, you go to Ash Point because you think that's the best place for you to be, whether that be for fencing, whether that be for your studies. If for whatever reason, is this the best move for you? No one else. It doesn't matter if it's going to be the thing that spurs Henri on. It doesn't matter for me, ultimately what's going to be best for me, for Henri, for anyone else. The only person you need to worry about whether or not you move or don't move, or whatever it is it the best thing for you? Is that the best place for what you want? And ultimately, I think, obviously you're the only one who's truly going to know that. I can make recommendations. I can give you opinions. But you need to think about what you want to do. Do you want... I understand that your current studies was not your first preference, but I don't know if now that you are doing it, you've realized this is something you want to continue doing. But if it isn't, and there's an opportunity to pursue on that level, not even considering fencing, but if that's the thing you want to do, is you're able to do it at Ash Point, yeah. Because end of the day, in terms of fencing, I will endeavor to help you be the best fencer you can. And I feel they would do the same. But for what it's worth, I don't think either of us is going to make you... We're not going to make you great, because You already are. And it's not because of who trained you. Because of you. I think Ash Point has the ability to turn mediocre fences into great fences. But I think I don't know if they turn great fences. Great fences will still be great fences. I don't know if they, but I don't know if I can say that I could do better. I don't know.
Coach, I want to go pro.
I'll start making calls tomorrow.
Yeah.
I will throw in some trouble, however. In that, just at that moment, they get like a text from Jade, and it's I don't know what it would be. Ash Point has gotten a thing, which is like, look at this awesome thing we now have.
Yeah.
For like, it's some like high tech thing that they, like some system, whether it's like
new tech.
But this like it's like they can now do X, Y, and Z, and that's pretty spectacular that they can get really granular with the information. It's like some kind of like, maybe it's even like a full. It's like not just the foil; it's the suit as well. That's like
it's everything.
It's this whole
mask, and it is probably less restrictive, but more sensitivity, easier to.
And like the whole thing get readings from everything, so you can like track.
So you can train
everything
to see what's better.
And it's just like, how cool is this thing that I get to play with, kind of thing.
Well, out of budget of.
Wow. It's like it's kind of almost like nonsense that a university would have this, just in general.
Yeah.
Like if you aren't like some.
Even if the school's like big statue in the quadrangle is a freaking fencer, this is not. This is stupid.
You're just like, it's also sort of like, it's the kind of thing like the level you need to be to get anything really out of this.
Yeah, you like it.
It probably would be useful for Ola.
It would be useful specifically for Ola as a great fencer rather than a good.
Yeah, but it's like, you need to be, you must be this good to actually to really actually benefit other. Like, otherwise you don't actually need to spend that kind of money.
It's a waste. It's a waste of money if really good people are not using it.
Yeah. And then there is like a sort of pause, like, this is very cool, and then it's like, also, I'm the godmother, right? Like,
Jade, please.
Right. Wow, we are. I just realized we're both maxed on fight.
Yeah.
Which is.
I think you can use fight for other things.
You can. So obviously, usually what you use it for is adding
to make a complication, to make
plus
trouble go.
But in like narrative scenes like this, you can choose for whatever. Like, I don't even know it has to be like the trouble. You can just be like, actually, no, I'm just gonna. Whatever's happening, it happens to my advantage.
It happens to my advantage instead.
Which is sort of like, because we've still got 3 trouble tokens between us. Yeah,
Yes.
and yeah,
And the facilitator token. I don't know which one you just used. I'm
I
assuming
used one of
facilitator
each. So
token.
it's
Right.
like as a player, we both have one, and as a facilitator, I have one as well.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I'm gonna need to think about this a bit more. I don't. I'm not materialistic like that. But just in resources.
What did we say the coach was for the Arrows? Former captain who was injured when they went pro. Okay. I was just double checking who we'd said was coaching the Arrows.
Coaching the Arrows.
Yeah.
That is Coach Turner. Mysteriously, that we're at Dockside.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the coach of the Arrows.
Oh, I
Just
see.
double checking what we'd put down. So
Yeah.
former captain was injured because that's that. I don't know if Coach Turner would like. I don't know how much.
Would I imagine they would know each other? Surely,
They'd potentially know, but like,
or know by, if not by like personally, they'd know each other by
like there's probably a degree where it's like if it obviously the coach for the Arrows is going to be they've got the money to get someone good.
Yes.
But I think if it came down head to head, like maybe Turner is probably.
I mean, I'm
Because they
happy
had
to
more
spend
experience being pro.
I'm happy to spend a fight token or whatever token for them to be at like an event later.
Oh yeah, I have to come up.
We've got Friedrich. We've got Friedrich's
Yeah, well,
sister. We've got
moving into. I did give Friedrich's sister a name. I'm just going to double check what that was. Lena. Which does move nicely because as you mentioned, you sort of there's an idea for an event.
Yes.
So we mentioned that obviously Fight with Spirit has multiple. You sort of just go through the phases, but the second phase is called daily life and event, but it's sort of better, more accurately, sort of daily life and or event. You have to do. You have to have an event or do daily life, which we just did, but you're ultimately able to do both. So we will move to the event, which is probably being held on like the weekend before the match. There's probably like two, so it's like we're saying. So it's if it's like 2 or 3 weeks between, I'm going to lean towards 3, and so we've sort of had the date being the first weekend, conversation with the coach being some point during that week, and then that weekend there is an event being held by Friedrich, who is currently a professional fencer, who still does stuff with the demons on and off. That's is sort of remembered as being like part of like the last time the demons had a reputation of being good, and but he's still local but is holding a sort of an event, and there's a lot of I guess it's a lot of like it's kind of like probably like a who's who of like professional fencing. So it's a lot of people where it's like it is that very thing where it's like if you're familiar with fencing, it's like oh my god, oh god, and everyone else is like I don't know what's going on.
Is that what it's like for Henri? Now suddenly understanding who these people are and
I think it
what
probably
their deal
doesn't.
is.
It's not as like because there's probably people there that like for like and there's like a mixture of like, they probably have also invited all like the most promising people from this. So, Jade, Neil, Ola, Henry, Nani's probably there because why not?
Why? Who invited Nani?
I did because I thought it'd be fun.
I did.
I chose.
I did, says the voice.
I was like, what would be the most how do I keep this feral? Well, obviously.
What would mess with people the mostest?
And then it is all the sort of like, you must be this good too, but they're just sort of like all these promising people are like, hey, let's like, these are potentially coming up. You might as well, like, even if that's not something you're interested, why not? Why not socialize and network and have a chance to meet some of these people in like a more casual, is the sort of premise, but also it's like, it's probably a lot more. It's one of those things. It's like, it's sort of, it has been pitched as this sort of very casual sort of whatever, and then it's like, but also, particularly, obviously for anyone who may or may not be considering becoming professional themselves. So yeah, this is a fun little. I imagine. I'm guessing Friedrich came from money.
Just a guess.
So I don't think. I don't think it's a huge.
Just a little guess.
Can't imagine like professional fencing is. I mean, maybe in this particular world, maybe it's a really lucrative job. I don't know, but.
I mean, doing anything professionally, it's luxury that allows anyone to fence professionally.
This is true. This is
like that in itself is luxury, but then also add in the fact that he's good at it, and so the part that's lucrative isn't specifically the part that's lucrative is the sponsorships. It's not the actual sport. I would imagine for fencing.
Yeah.
Because that the things that does to the body, that makes for modeling sponsorships, that makes for ads, that it's like being a YouTuber, really. It's not the actual thing.
Celebrity in general.
Money. It's everything else. Yeah.
But it's a it's a nice function, as it were.
Yeah.
And you're able to sort of move through, and there's a degree of like it's nice to get to socialize with these people. It's normally just so how is as we sort of as the viewer arrive at how is Ola doing?
Ola is. Do they arrive together?
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not either. I think Ola would be resplendent in a, for some reason, purple, because that's what was in my head. Purple cocktail dress with gold necklace, earrings, bracelets, many of them. Yeah, I think that's very much it. That's the look. That's the vibe. And I don't think they're nervous. I think they're willing to play up the fact that they look good, and they know they look good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any hiding. I don't think there's any nervousness. I don't think there's any of that. I think it's very, not even necessarily controlled, just I'm here and I deserve to be.
Awesome. I think like Henry, like day to day, has a not like disheveled, but like
not disheveled, but
sort of like the scruffiness that comes from just like,
I have other things to do.
Yeah, it's just that's not something that he really ever thought to. It's not like he styles his hair or anything, or he doesn't. He just sort of like we talked about whether, because he does have a sort of a bit of a beard that he's sort of grown, but it initially was just because he forgot to shave because he was focusing on other things.
Yeah.
And so and then when it's like, if at some point he's like, oh, I should probably do I shave? And he's like, well, let's see. And it's like, it does actually like help in that without it, he's probably quite sort of almost like this sort of baby face sort of.
Yeah.
As I said, like, growing up, he's probably just quite gangly and dorky person. It's only in recent years that he's kind of grown into it. And with the improved fitness and like he sort of kind of towards the end of high school grew into his body, and now he's only gotten sort of there and then, so it does actually sort of really, really work for him. Okay. And so now that he actually has put it effort, he does scrub up quite nicely, and they've sort of, as he sort of arrives to this event. And obviously he said, there's people that, as like Henry now is aware of who they all are. Like he's sort of between, having friends for as long as he has, but also once he started, he's like, right, I need to know. But it probably doesn't, because it's not been following some of these people for as long as like Ola may have. Probably that sort of that initial impact of being in the same space is like, it's like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's not, oh, that's wow, okay.
Oh, and
oh,
I think to some degree, Ola will have been in spaces like this before, which is probably why they're comfortable in it. So it's not an issue.
It's not like something. I'm certainly not spending trouble on it or anything.
No.
If
anything, sort of it's like too easy, almost.
Yeah. It is that sort of like, that's that thing where it's like awareness of like, it's not weird that I'm here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it still might to an extent be weird for Henry.
Yeah.
But like,
I feel like Coach would be here too. Like I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And so those conversations he was talking about, those phone calls, that's gonna be some of what he's doing. Schmoozing.
No, we might spend trouble on that. That's.
Oh dear. We're gonna find out why he said why he quit. Like, is this why? What?
Oh, maybe
that's the whole thing.
As I said, Jade and Neil are there. They're both, and similar to like, as you say, like Ola's potentially been there. Like, they're also.
Yeah.
They're probably in the same boat.
This is a function that.
It's not their first rodeo.
No, it is a function that this is the first time they are seeing Henri in this space. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Like since graduating high school, they would not have seen him in a suit either. So that in itself is a different thing because the way that he filled out.
Yeah. So they just sort of start to mill. They sort of move about. Is there anyone in particular that Ola's like?
I mean, there's just all of the people that we've brought up. I feel like for Ola, they would navigate. They do like a circle around the room of talking with many people, but they notice the way that Lena looked at Henri, and they want to know what that's about. just curious. Not jealous, just curious in the way of someone that's like, information was pocketed. What's going on here is the first thing. Second thing is they would talk to Friedrich and they would make sure that Henri and Friedrich actually spoke properly. But that's more because they know how much Henri cares about that. So they
Yeah.
like, even if it doesn't involve Ola. Ola is very specifically like, have they spoken? Have they spoken? No,
Yeah.
I will navigate this. I will make
Yeah.
this happen. Um, and I think the last, like, absolutely want a conversation with Jade as like comic relief, more than anything. But I think that at some point, Ọláyẹmí would want to talk to the coach of the Arrows. Not They think not because they're tempted, but because they're tempted, and they just want to know whether they would get on with him, her, them. We haven't specified any of this, so I don't know. But given this offer's been made, I think it's important to them to like look at all possibilities.
Yeah.
But that's them.
Just glancing at. Yeah. I think as there's sort of like there's initial sort of getting that air. I think Lena does actually sort of, it's that sort of like I know. It's like what was you remembering that when there was that when they after the quarterfinals, but Lena actually comes straight up to sort of, and
To
it's
both
clearly
of them,
sort of
or just to Ola?
to both of them. It's clearly the degree of like, is sort of in the role of like hostess, as it were, but it's a sort of like greeting everyone and that sort of initial thing of like, oh, it's wonderful to see you, and so notices the two of them and comes over to say hi, and is, I guess, familiar in like with Henri in particular.
When you say familiar, is this a
Or
euphemism?
like no, like not like in like tone. Like everyone else, it's just like, oh, it's nice to see you, and then it's like, oh, Henri and Ola. And like, maybe there's like, way she like touches his arm or something. There's a degree of like, it's like, what was this? What's the deal here? But it's all ultimately just.
Would I know Lena as a fencer?
I think.
Does Lena fence, and how good is she?
I think it's not like professionally, but like in a different, whatever the like, in a similar to the way what Ola and Henri are doing, but she had been doing that in like either like a different city or even a different country. So it may have like
I feel like
in the
Ola
same way that
keeps
like
a finger on what's going
yeah,
on.
that like obviously Ola and Henry have gotten a lot of attention of late and are known when they go out. That would have been the same for Lena when she was home. And it's like whether that has crossed like but at the same time it could have also been mentioned at some point in talking about like something about Friedrich, and they talk about like it's not just Friedrich, the whole like the family's like you know, maybe like one of their parents was renowned, and it's like it's like, you know, there's sort of like people to watch for, kind of like in, you know, it's not, you know, if you know like a little in a little while like the sister is also going to be, so there's plenty of degree of like has been mentioned as a person to watch because of their lineage in a way.
The lineage even by itself is what's the word, people of concern. If Ola goes pro is kind of my point. If Ola goes pro, this is someone who she's likely to come up against at some point, right?
You would like, and so particularly like you would definitely be stuff to find out if you were like went to look for it, but whether you knew before, how much you knew before like meeting them and being like, who is this person and why? It might be like, oh, I know that like Friedrich's sister has made a bit of a name for themselves, but not necessarily any beyond that. But then upon looking into it, you're like, oh, okay, I can actually see that this person is legitimate, kind of thing.
Correct. They know, she knows what she's doing. Okay.
It's probably almost like, in terms of style, is probably almost like the opposite of Ola.
Yeah.
Is like
closer to Friedrich.
Yeah. In a probably doesn't have the same sort of like I would say the whole thing with Friedrich is that the way that he clearly loves what he does.
Yes.
And that's very apparent. But it's also like, just in terms of like the way they fence, in a more sort of like we described Ola as being like very like overpowers their opposition, is very just when they actually sort of are doing, you know, doing it right, they just, it's like, it's just talk about like, you know, the fencing equivalent of a berserker, just like absolutely shuts them down. Where like Lena is probably more of like the dancer, the sort of like is like lets them come to them, and then it's just like parry riposte, just sort of like that sort of like is
Ola tries to finish it in one movement, and Lena likes to play around. Lena likes to play with her food. Ola's like, let's finish this meal.
Yeah, and lets them come to her, and it's just like, it's this sort of like, and it has that sort of, has the same like grace that Friedrich has, but is potentially a bit more clinical at this point. Like maybe doesn't have that same, or at least in the same way that like that Ola sort of kept it inside. So it still feels it. It's not just, but like, so similar to Ola in that way. Now, so they come up, and they sort of greet you. It's all very nice. It's obviously a bit like, as I said, like maybe slightly more familiar with Henry than you would like.
Yep.
Maybe it's a new experience of like, what is this bitch doing putting hands on my man?
Which I see like, what you're doing, and you don't seem to care that I see what you're doing. What the fuck?
It's like perhaps a degree of like, oh, I've not had to think that about Henry before. That's fine, but also stop.
Yeah. But also, I see what's happening here. Does Henri see what's happening? Does Ola see that Henri sees what's happening? And what is Henri's response to Lena being a little more forward?
I think he's not like in like an overtly obvious way, but he's a bit surprised, I guess.
Okay.
As
in surprised that she's acting that way?
Yeah, and a bit just sort of like, oh, but also being like, trying to sort of like, I guess, it's not that big a deal. That's sort of trying to put on that air. It's like,
yeah,
I don't want.
I guess the question is, does Ola see that Henri sees what is happening? Like, does that register? Is it? Oh, I see what's happening here enough that Ola can see that Henri sees what's going on. Or does Henri just enjoy the interaction and like go on with life?
I think
How overt is she and how overt is he?
I don't think he's overt at all. Like he's just sort of like, oh, this is, but it's like, it's clear that they've like met before. And he doesn't. I don't think he's like. I don't think it's like. He doesn't seem to be as like, this is crazy kind of thing. It's just sort of like, it's like, all right, well, this is
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There might be a degree of like, maybe she sort of, touches his arm for a bit longer than he's like expecting. At that point, he's just like, well, okay, hang on. But it's like, he does sort of be like, well, it's nice to, and sort of adjusts and sort of moves on. Comes a bit of trouble. I don't know what it's like when it's like, well, that's trouble tokens, but like everyone's full up on fight. But anyway,
I think it would be fun to spend a trouble token to have Lena say, you must have a conversation with my brother. But leave Ola out of that.
To Henri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
And for Ola, that's well, I was going to do that anyway. So
I see.
I can't say no to that. I don't see a problem with that. That's what you're going to do.
I was about to say, it's like, I don't know if that needs a trouble, but like, yeah, that sort of thing. Like,
I'm spending the token.
It's not
specifically for Ola. I think it is just generic trouble.
But it's also sort of like,
it also forces.
Ola was the one who is like, I was going to set that up for you.
Yeah, I was going to set that up for you, but I think in this instance, it's more good luck, have fun, go meet your hero, have fun with your hero. There will be no support behind you on that, but also have fun with that person. She might also cause you trouble down the line.
Yeah.
Because paparazzi are also milling around here as well. So it's like,
oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that's part of why I was like, how overt is all of this because paparazzi is involved?
I want to just tack on
adding more
something
trouble?
with that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, add more trouble.
There's a degree of like, it's like she's kind of was like, hooking her arm into Henri's, like, you need to come, I need to introduce you. And they're sort of taking away, and then it's like, there's a sort of moment, and then does look back at Ola, and it's just like, it's like, oh, speaking my brother, he mentions that you are thinking of going, it's like, that you're thinking of going pro. I guess it might be interesting just to at some point we might end up crossing foils and then leave before like Henry can be like, I'm sorry, you're doing what now?
Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's a whole thing. Yep. Thanks. You made it trouble for everyone involved. Make it trouble
You get
for
trouble, and you
all of
get
it.
trouble.
I feel like just
Everyone gets
one trouble needs to be
trouble.
spent on that. Just everyone gets trouble.
What's an event for if not trouble for everyone?
If not trouble for each person individually and collectively. Because no, Ola would not have told Henry that at all. And not only that, wouldn't have mentioned the consideration of going to another team to do it.
Yeah.
Not deliberately trying to hide anything, just like trying to figure it out by themselves. But of course, things travel. So, yeah.
Actually, that's a good point. Might also add, it's like, um, if you're interested, and I'm gonna is like the coach for the Arrows is Dale Young, and it's like, Dale's here. You should have a chat. And it probably takes like at least for Henry a couple of moments to be like after they've actually left that to offer freedom. And it's like, wait, isn't that the coach for the Arrows?
Mm-hmm. Oh no! The second that that Ola's alone, there is going to be like there has to be like someone comes by with like, here, wine glass, something.
Maybe, it could be Jade. Glass in each hand, or it could just be a person,
or just
people carrying plates,
people carrying trays of wine. Ola would just pick it up to be like, hey, because I'm not talking to anyone. I don't have anyone with me. Again, I just pick up a glass of wine because you do. Not necessarily intending to immediately sip it, but just I now have a glass of wine. It is my prop.
Wine, there's champagne going around.
The champagne, this is just now what I'm holding.
And it's also that unconscious things have gotten stressful reach for alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Things have suddenly got stressful. Hey, my old buddy, my old pal. Yeah. At which point, yes, Jade could then show up and be like, haha, you gonna drink it? Because you gotta prove that.
Immediately.
Michelle, it's like we summoned you. We've been talking about the French and wine for this whole time. It's like we summoned you.
Hey, I need to pay more attention to chat.
Oh, I have a whole situation going. But yeah,
it just like the event specifically, the thing that differentiates mechanically the daily life from events is daily life is just like it's focused on one of the main characters, where events specifically has to include all of the main characters. It's obviously easier when there's only two of us, but like
yes, but we have all of these connections.
Yeah, you have all those connections, and it's just like it's an excellent opportunity to be like trouble for everyone. So do we want to stay with Ola, or do we want to sort of?
We can go with. Let's go with
Henry.
We'll go with Henry first.
Yeah.
And Lena slipped through Henry's, just holding on, not holding on for dear life, but like very comfortable.
I don't think anything that she's done has been like, there's not like an air of like maliciousness or anything, or there's like, she wasn't like trying to put Ola on the spot. It was like, is genuinely.
I mean, we don't know. I don't
Like,
know. I'm someone that will insert a little bit of that maliciousness. I think it would be fun
that's
to
what I'm
insert
saying. It's
a
like
little bit of that.
it didn't have an air of that. That doesn't mean that wasn't
Doesn't mean it was
why
me.
she did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she may have been
She had a
purposely there to stir trouble, or she's just like, hey, this was a thing I heard, and that,
yeah.
and I assume this is public knowledge because it's being talked about in the circles that I'm in.
Yes.
And so I just assumed, and you sort of like didn't even think anything of it. It was just like, oh, it's kind of cool. Or she's driving a wedge. We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say I do know, and she does want to drive a wedge because I think that's fun.
Because why not?
Like, she was flirting with this person, and now this person is no longer flirtable, in theory. But, like, I feel like one of the first questions that she would ask as they cross the room is, so that was a big finale at your last match?
Yeah. It all sort of, I don't know, it feels almost like a blur at this point, but a lot of things sort of came to a head suddenly and quickly. And then, yeah, with all the, it all sort of culminated in that finals and everything going. Turns out, yeah, I guess wasn't something I thought about, but it is something I have been immediately confronted with. So, I don't know.
They love a flashy opening.
I am discovering that of the importance of a narrative, I guess. I was always a bit confused, I guess, initially, why they were focusing on me and not Ola, and then suddenly it's like, right, the narrative has to be there, and now it is. So,
are you thinking of going pro?
Considering it, I didn't know Ola had made that decision.
You didn't.
I mean, she doesn't need my permission.
The two of you have been friends for such a long time. I would have assumed that you knew.
I knew it was something she had thought about, something she's obviously had considered. I didn't know it was something she had made a definitive choice about. So,
I see.
Not surprised by any that she did. I mean, if anything, I'm surprised she didn't do it sooner. I mean, I probably know better than most how talented she is.
Sad to lose them to the arrows.
That I didn't know about. Again, not surprised that they would want them on their team.
We don't need to worry about that now. I feel silly for bringing it up. Let's go talk to my brother. Let's go talk to my brother.
Okay.
Frida reaches out a hand to shake.
There's a degree of being like starstruck, I guess. And so it's like, oh, right, this is, and probably didn't even like, because they were talking to Lena about Ola, and they hadn't realized that they had crossed the space. And it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Now my brother's here. He's like, right, we should do it all right now.
But also, Lena's like, I love this gossip that he didn't even know. Take his mind off it.
Oh,
Here,
Lena's taken notes. It's just like, yeah,
Lena.
we're gonna.
Lena's taking notes and knocking pins down.
But yeah, it does sort of like, oh, and shakes Friedrich's hand.
It's great to meet you.
You as well. Sorry,
I saw your last 2 bouts.
Did you?
Yes.
Obviously, I knew you were at the. Saw with the neons. I didn't realize you were for the. Didn't realize you were there for the Nemelis.
You play well.
Thank you.
Rough around the edges, but
Wow.
takes time.
I'm just getting started.
I can tell.
I'm sorry. I'm trying very hard, I guess, not to be. I've only just recently had people coming up to me and wanting to congratulate me on what I've been on, wanting their photo taken or whatever, and I'm trying to be. How do I put this? I started fencing this year because of you. I'd been told for years that it's something I should do, and I just didn't ever. And then during that exhibition match you did against Coach Turner at the beginning of the year to sort of open the.
Question.
I'd never seen anyone fence like that.
Question to Sam.
Hmm.
What kind of response is Henry looking for here?
I think he's just like.
What's his expectation about how his hero would respond?
I think there's a degree of just like. Part of it was like, I'm being really awkward right now with this person.
Yeah.
And I kind of just want to explain why I'm being awkward. But also, I've had a lot of stuff happen to me in the last however long, and it's been kind of great. And it's entirely because of this person. Like,
but what's the
kicked
response?
this off.
What's the response that he would be expecting from Friedrich in response to all of this that's happening here? Like, because when we behave a certain way, when we do a certain thing, we're doing like there's something we're attempting to get. What is Henry trying to get?
I think on some level he's just like, this person has had such a big impact, such a sudden impact. He kind of just wants them to know the impact that they've had. But I guess on some level there's a degree of like,
Please like me.
Yeah, like notice me senpai kind of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's like that. It just like the acknowledgement of like, this is because of you. Did I do good kind of thing? I guess, or like, but it's like there's this, and like I said, like it started out just being like, I just want to explain why I'm nervous, but then there's a degree of just like, as it sort of spills out of his mouth, it's just sort of like, you've literally, because of seeing this match and the way you fence, you've potentially just completely shifted the direction of my life in a way that, as far as I can tell right now, is only in a positive.
Yeah.
Is even like, it could all go terribly wrong and it would still be a positive change because you've made me realize just how much I was like being passive in my own life.
Mm.
And just for that alone, it's like that's such a big realization for Henry.
Yeah.
That it's it's like the thing is like, maybe he does shift and go pro. Maybe he, but at the very least, it's like
Okay. I just kind of wanted to know what, because I think that truly Friedrich's response is very gracious, very genuine.
Oh,
That's wow, that's a lot. That's a huge change in everything that you've been doing.
yeah. Sorry, I just kind of just came out, and it's been incredible. And I don't know. I just felt like you wanted to acknowledge that with you, I guess.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce a trouble token, not for now, but for later, when the paparazzi report this.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the reason my life has changed.
Yeah.
Somewhere in a headline, which isn't necessarily trouble for Henri now, but in the attribution of fame for the two of them, the late bloomer / into your world, that is good.
Oh,
That'll turn up. That'll show
I'm
up.
because I've got the thing. I'm going to spin a fight that
Mhm.
it is ultimately a positive thing.
Oh,
It is this sort of like, it's like, as we're sort of thing, like the whole thing is like they do love a bit of a narrative, but this sort of like, I was like protege, mentor, with, in the same way that they take this crumb and run with it.
yeah.
But it is ultimately this sort of like, it's more attention, but it's ultimately positive attention.
Yeah. Nice.
That they, I guess really mainly for Henry, but like,
I mean, it doesn't do
to an
anything
extent,
for Ola, but
it's not, but like in terms of like for like Friedrich, it's just sort of like,
yeah, for Friedrich,
they both kind of come out looking good, but it's like it's this extra attention kind of
yes.
in like, and suggesting a relationship that doesn't necessarily exist, but it's like,
Well, doesn't it? Because Lena with her arm very carefully
yeah, oh
through, like,
it,
adopted by the family
yeah,
is the headline. It's like adopted by this family.
yeah.
Is his personal relationship in turmoil.
Just yeah, and there's definitely that
It's
kind of
messy.
talk, but it's like
Yes.
it's not as much,
It is.
not as much of the focus as it could have been, where it's like that sort of juicy sort of scandal. It's more that sort of like, oh,
Yeah.
this is, so it's like it's less scandalous than it could have been.
It might physically be less scandalous, but it doesn't change the fact that it is scandalous.
Oh, it's still it's always going to be to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that
I don't want to
isn't.
minimize the
It's
importance
still
of the
trouble.
scandal.
It is
Yes.
still, the trouble token is still causing trouble. It's just that
It's
the
causing
fight
trouble
token
that
means it's
is
not.
it's not it's been mitigated.
It's ultimately not. It's ultimately a positive thing for Henry, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean it's not.
I actually think it will end up being more of a negative thing for Ola as a result of that. But that is interesting.
Yes, there's definitely repercussions.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Speaking of Ola,
Oh yeah.
are they just chatting with Jade, or are they?
I think they're holding that glass of champagne and it's not a bar. They can't pour it on the floor.
Can't just toss it and like, oh,
I'll just be
okay.
like, oh, I finished.
Yeah.
I think the longer the conversation goes on with Jade, the more they are going to be thinking about the fact that there is a glass of champagne in their hand. And I think they are mostly going to start thinking about the paparazzi in the room, plus the fact that there is a glass of champagne, plus the fact that what's her name? Lena's over there with her arm slit through Henry's, and the fact that Jade is now here also.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Jade knows everything about the offer for. I mean, they would have. They'd have to everything about like the offer from.
They probably discussed it with her initially.
Yes.
Just like, we're thinking of doing this. Like, what do you know? You have some insight. Like,
Yeah.
tell us. Particularly like it's been building a little bit. So there's a degree of like, even before the quarterfinals when everyone else noticed, it's like they're canny enough to be like that. This person is clearly highly talented, to the point of like hiding some of it. Like, they are definitely toying with people and still winning. So like,
what do I do, Jade?
in what?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
is the answer. What do I do?
all right.
What's your coach
What's
like?
Dale? Good. He's working with each of us. Like, each of us has like obviously there's overall training, but each of us have specific things that we are expected to work on. Got a whole team. It's like, obviously, coaches heading it up, but we've got nutritionalists, we've got physiotherapists, sort of all of them working up so that we each have there's team goals and there's individual goals and it's all sort of built around us. And
Do you want to go pro? Are you going pro? Is just everyone? Are we all going? Are we just? Where are you at?
I think Jade's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm not decided. I like what I'm doing. Like, I love fencing, but before I went to Ash Point, like, everything was like, fencing was the thing I looked forward to the most. Like, I wasn't. School was school, but it was like I couldn't wait to get to training or go to a match. And then I go to Ash Point. I get to study the things I want to study. I don't have to do classes I don't want to do. And suddenly I realize I'm not spending my moments in class waiting for it to end so I can go to training. I'm looking forward to my classes. So
That sounds really good.
at the very least, I want to finish my studies. I think I want to And yeah, maybe I,
After.
there's obviously a window for going pro, but I think I still have time. I think I can, at the very least, finish out playing for the Arrows. And I think in some way, at the moment, that's, I think, enough. And I think I've got time to.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I
This time last year, I've told you, yeah. I've told you 100%. And now, I get to enjoy both. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You come to Ashpoint. I mean, you're doing your back. I don't know how you feel at your classes, but like, if you still wanted to do more like law, if that's something you're still more interested in. I mean, even just coming across just to be able to do that, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It kind of feels, I don't know, like a betrayal of what I've got.
I mean, don't get me wrong, like Coach Turner, he's
Great.
He's yeah.
He's been my coach for
Yeah,
forever.
Coach, before he went pro, was coaching us. And I mean, if ideal world, both of you would come across to. God, like not to. Dale's great, but
yeah,
I don't know.
it's a hard decision to make.
I mean, probably glances in the direction of Henri. God, I would put money on that not happening. Just kind of assumed you were going to keep that under your hat the whole time, and
what? Keep what under my hat the whole time?
What you felt?
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I thought I was too.
Heck, and when they first floated the idea of the offering it to you, my initial thought was maybe it'd be a good opportunity to get some space, get away from it all.
I did think that. For a hot second, but things changed pretty quickly, When they started to change, they changed really. Never mind. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do when I don't know what I'm going to do.
I mean,
either way, now he knows about it.
What do you mean?
I didn't tell him that I was considering moving.
Oh.
And it just got well. I wasn't thinking about it. It just wasn't. It wasn't on the radar. It just wasn't. It wasn't. There were other things I was thinking about. there were other things on my mind, and a lot has happened between, you know, the end of our last public bout and now, and
Oh, I wasn't blaming. I'm just
hadn't got around to it.
feels classically you.
Why are you like this?
Oh, that's why you keep me around.
There's something about the attention that feels good. But if I go to Ash Point, that's going to die down because now I'm realistically where I should be, right? It's where I'm expected to be.
Oh. Expectation.
Think of the drama.
I can't talk to that. I mean, yeah, everyone loves a good narrative. Demons come good. You, Henry.
They look over. Whatever's happening there, some kind of a laugh or something. They take a sip because it's there.
So it's like, the baby.
There's no baby, you idiot. And to make a point of it, they do take another sip because they've already had some. They've already had some. It makes the most sense. Let the paparazzi for a while.
It's the first one that's the problem.
It's always the first one that's the problem.
That being said,
Uh-oh.
no. How, like,
What was that?
you have been pining after that man for years.
Yeah.
So how is it now that you have him?
It's great. It's weird. It's great. It's weird. It's great and weird. It's it's complicated because we can't. Everything was so public, and now everything is so public. And at what point is it like? At what point is it good press? Just feels like it's a bit soured, you know, because of the just because of how it happened. But I don't think it's until they put the glass back and they've finished it and sort of absently taken another one before they really actually consider what they've just done. It's good. It's good. It's just something to get used to, you know? Not like pining, it's something else now.
Jade kind of like sort of like facing, but sort of like turns, sort of gives you like a side hug. And she sort of leans in, so sort of says quietly, it's like, I have had to watch for years. You look at that man when he wasn't watching, and you would smile. And for each passing year, that smile got sadder. And I had to watch you do that. I saw it every time, just a little sadder. Just now, you looked over and you smiled. And it was happy. She clinks your glass.
Ọláyẹmí drinks to that because it's happy.
And then after this, there's like a moment, we sort of sit in that moment. And then she's like, who's that bitch with her arm on him?
I don't fucking know, and I can choke a bit if she does not get her arm off him. Then they finish that one, and it's in grabbing another one that they're like, I think that their intention is to not to go actually choke a bitch, but to go retrieve what's theirs. Acceptably. Yeah. I don't know if Dale intervenes or if they come across Dale on the way, but I do feel like having a conversation with your potential new coach tipsy is like the only fun thing to do before the consequences of knowing that your boyfriend happens to have noticed that you have drunk. You have been drinking.
I think, yeah, so yeah, Olive's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna go, and then is sort of intercepted. Not like it's almost not even like on purpose. It sort of like just turns around from another conversation, and notices. It's like, oh,
hi.
I was meaning to have a talk with you, and at the same time,
yes.
Friedrich's and Henry's conversation is sort of wrapping up, and Friedrich goes on and takes Lena. Lena goes with Friedrich. And it's probably to an extent that like Henry, because was so, again, like can be a bit sort of hyper focused, was like talking to Friedrich, probably didn't notice to the extent that Lena was like still holding his arm, still doing stuff, just wasn't less cognizant of it really. And maybe like at the end, maybe she like kisses his cheek or something as she goes, and there's a period of like, oh, that was what? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. But as he turns back, he sort of distractedly runs into Neil.
Yes.
And so they've sort of gone back. I should go catch up with. Oh shit! Hey.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll stick with Dale. And he's like, if it's not Ọláyẹmí and Henri, I was just thinking I needed to try and have an opportunity sometime tonight to have a chat with you.
I was hoping that might be the case too.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yes. Yeah. It's beautiful and everything's great.
Probably
At the event.
like someone bought past. He's like, oh, and he just takes two and he sort of gives one to you.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, have you thought more about our offer?
I have. Oh well, I've been thinking a lot. You know, I've been with like Coach Turner's like practically raised me as a coach. So it's one of those things where it's trying to figure out where I want to be and what I want to do and how to make it happen. And I mean, I know I want to go pro. That's where I'm at.
I'd heard that on the grapevine.
It's a long grapevine, it seems. But yeah, that's the goal. It's just about how to get there, and I don't know who can get me there the most efficiently, and I don't know.
Absolutely, it's obviously you want to do the best thing for you, and I look. I am the first. I'd be the first person to sing Matt's praises. Like that man's probably a better coach than he was a player, and he was a very good player. Like he is incredible, and as a coach,
have you played against him? Have you?
A little. I didn't get to. I didn't get to play at that level for as long as I would have liked. Obviously, I had
Of course.
With the accident, but
I've seen footage of your matches though. They
I don't want to brag. I want you to make an informed choice, and I'm not gonna try and suggest that Matthew Turner is anything but spectacular as a coach, and I don't want to speculate how I compare to him, partly because I think I might lose. But I don't think I'd lose by that much. And what I think the difference is obviously resources. And it's not even a competition. Ashpoint has the best. And I know that we have resources that sometimes it feels like they just throw money to throw money. But the thing about when you get to that level, you need to match that level to get something out of it. And there's not a lot of people
to make money.
Yeah. But for 90%, 95, 99% of fencers, they're not going to benefit really from some of the things that we have on offer. It's nice to have, but they're not going to, it's not going to, you have to have a certain level of ability. You have to be at a certain level of talent, of experience to actually get the most out of it. And the thing is, I think that's where you're at. I think we have, with our resources and your ability, we're at a party. I'm not here to push you for an answer right now. I just wanted.
Thank you. I think Ola at that point is like looking, not doing the like look around, someone save me, but subtly also doing the look around, someone save me, because I don't know how to respond to this. And I feel like any indication of a guaranteed response is going to be taken somewhere. But also, I'm tipsy. Just don't. Ola, you know better than to do this. Don't. So I think that is the point at which they'd say, I will have made my decision very, very soon. But right now, I should go and rescue my.
Absolutely. Enjoy the night. You've earned it.
Yeah. You have a lovely evening, and hopefully we will see the arrows at the finals.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I almost guarantee it. I hope.
Look, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'm thinking it's arrows versus demons.
If
Don't get me
we
wrong.
don't end up there, I'm sure it's probably not going to be because of me. So we'll get there.
It's good talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Neil and we flip.
Yeah.
Like back to back. I feel like they just had this conversation just back to back. Almost. Not necessarily directly, but close enough.
Yeah.
Hey, mate.
Hey.
Fancy seeing you here.
It's a little. It's a lot. It's not. It's weird. I just think I just made a fool of myself in front of Friedrich Hanen, because that's a thing that I get to do. Sure, we're just gonna do that, I guess.
Oh, I watched. Yeah, you did. It was great.
I'm glad I could be of amusement.
Very fun.
I think I owe you a thanks.
Thanks for what?
All those weeks ago at that party, and you took me to task about having hidden, I guess, kept my fact that I was fencing from my family, and you called me out on it, essentially. And at the time, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, But you were right. You were absolutely right. And it made me actually reflect on what I was doing. Made me realize
Made you realize what?
I've been on is autopilot the right word? I don't know. I hadn't. It's a lot of things I hadn't. Wasn't just that I hadn't really considered why I wasn't talking to my family. It was a lot of things that I was doing that I wasn't reflecting on why I was doing it. Conversation made me reflect on what I was doing and why, and I realized it was a bigger issue than I was aware of. It had been like that for a while.
So your sudden turn of Daru's good fortune, that public pash with your now apparently pregnant partner.
Fuck. Oh God. Can't believe. I knew it would. I knew. It still wasn't fucking. You turned down one wine.
I mean, neither of you actually told us whether or not that's true. You just keep brushing it off, so I can only assume.
Well, let me unequivocally.
Mm.
It's not.
Mm.
It's not.
Didn't think so, but you know.
You've been busy though.
Me?
Yeah.
What? How so?
Kidding? The sharks, man.
Yep.
Like,
They're looking good. They're looking good. Looking forward to going up against you.
it's always. You've always been. I don't know. It's like. Where it has felt like. I guess your drive. Your. I don't know. You always seem to have that this surety that this is what I want, and so I'm gonna go get it.
About most things, yeah. Some
It's
things not
impressive.
to me.
Oh, that's, I guess, as important, if not more important. We had to
Respectfully?
filter the difference.
Respectfully, fuck you.
Huh?
On that one.
What?
Hmm?
I don't feel like I missed something just now.
Oh, just respectfully. Like, we're just joking, mate. I'm just. You as
Okay.
someone that always gets what you want cannot turn around and say it's important to acknowledge the things you can't have.
You didn't say can't have. You said weren't for you. And I'm saying that knowing what you want and what you don't want, having that clarity.
Mm.
I wasn't saying there wasn't, didn't mean to infer that there was things you can't have.
There are things that I can't have. It just is what it is.
Like what?
The way my brain went, I want you to roll for this. That's not how this game works. That's not how this game works at all.
Roll for keep your cool.
Roll for keep your cool. Roll for insight. Roll for something. I want to play a trouble token, but you can't have any more fight tokens, so I don't know how that's going to work. I'm going to play it anyway. You just don't get anything from it. Oh wait, no, you had to use a fight for to change the paparazzi situation, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have 4, you'd have 3, which means you'd have 4 now because I'm about to spend 1.
Probably. I don't, because it's like
I'ma
it was in
spend it.
response. It was in response to another.
Yeah.
There's probably some order of operations in like it was
There
in
probably
response to a
is.
trouble. So it's like, do I spend it for my 4 and then get? I don't know. But either way,
Well, you would lose a fight. Oh, I see.
It's like, do I lose it before I gain? I don't know, and I don't think it matters because right now, obviously, you
I
get
don't think
one
it
of
matters
this
because
trouble.
yes,
The end result right now is that we'll still end up with 4.
yes.
I might look into that.
I don't think that Neil verbally responds. I think that Neil looks at Ola and then just says, "We can't always have what we want."
Of course. God damn it.
I don't even know necessarily whether Henry notices that.
No, it's more like Aya sounds like, of course that's the trouble. Of course that's the trouble. Like
that's the trouble. That has to be the trouble. There has to be trouble involved in that somewhere. Everything that Henry has done, Neil has wanted to be able to achieve.
Yeah. It's
and
like
years of this situation, I could only imagine Neil's like, but I'm over here and I fence. Hello.
Yeah. It's more like, of course, it's like, of course that's the trouble, and I didn't even. So you sort of said it, and I was like, oh, God, yeah.
Yep, that's the trouble.
And yeah, Henry would just be sort of like a little, like he's a little, particularly if Neil's not saying something. But like,
as in not, and as in
he's not vocalizing.
He's not vocalizing what it is that is the issue.
There's enough like.
I think the camera.
Just like the vibe of the conversation, Henry's just like, this is not how I thought this would go. I thought.
In fact, you know what?
It's like, oh, that's this fucking tension again. It's like I thought having this conversation would be like, hey, it was tense. And I thought it was like, it's like in the previous conversation, Henry was thinking that the tension came from him, that he was like a bit, but now he's like, oh, wait, oh.
The competitive tension of.
It's also just like this, like I guess the bitterness that's like is again Harry hadn't realized existed and is now not fully cognizant of it, but is like at least finally picking up on it.
Yes.
So there's a degree of just like, oh shit.
And I could imagine, I really want to be like, okay, so the camera pans over, and it's only at the point where Henry looks over that he would see uh Ola finishing a glass of champagne, putting it down, just to cap that
Which is sort of
whole
like
situation.
in like that's also more of the thought, whereas like it's like, what is he talking? Oh goodness, that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
potentially bad. So it's like, isn't
It's both sides.
thinking about the stuff with Neil as much to sort of fully grasp
Mm.
where it is about, but is more sort of like, I mean, this is, and he doesn't know, like, this is probably third or fourth by this point as well. So it's like,
Third or fourth. Oh, yeah. This is, I mean, when you acclimatize to it, it's fifth.
yeah, like,
Uh, I think fifth.
particularly if we as like the audience, it's like, this is like, if Dale's not there, so it's like, this is definitely a drink, this is another drink after the one you had with Dale.
Yes.
So it's like, this is at least 4,
Mm-hmm.
if not. And if there's like another glass next to her or something,
Yeah.
it's just, oh,
Or just like someone topping off the glass.
yeah, it's gone to that point where it's like not counting glasses anymore because it's being,
Someone just comes over and top, like, you
someone's
don't know.
been,
You never know. You never know how much you've had to drink
at that
when
point
you're
you've
at
just lost
parties like
track.
that. You don't
Yeah,
know. It's just like, oh, every time the glass is half full, someone is here filling it up again,
yeah,
because paparazzi love drunk people. And also, just to make clear for anyone else watching, the trait has changed because this is not how Ola wants to identify themselves. It is not how they see themselves. It is simply now happening because addiction is hard. It's kind of what it is. Addiction is hard.
mm.
And it's not a solve it in one day or 1 week situation.
It's sort of like, what's knowing is half the battle,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean the other half isn't difficult.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
the admitting there is a problem is a very important first step.
Yeah.
But
And
there's a,
admitting that the alcohol is a problem and not a problem that they want to attach to themselves, as opposed to like, well, this is something I do. Like, this is just how I cope now. This is a part
yeah,
of me. They recognize it's a problem. They're trying to shift away from it because it's not how they want to identify. It's still a problem. It's still a problem. So, yeah, they're on 5 or 6. At this point, who knows? But they are getting sloppy.
I think, yeah, that like, it's like, there's a kind of degree of like, I don't know what's going on with Neil, that, but that is a future Henry problem. And he's just like, I should probably. It was awesome seeing you.
Hmm.
And I look forward to
See you at the match. See you on the Piste.
see you next week.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fun. And then sort of just like, he's sort of backing it while they're having that, and then just sort of turns and he's like, heads to Ola.
Can Nani be? No, there's so many. There are so many. There are so many. No.
Just sort of, if you on like subsequent viewings, you realize, oh, Nani's been like there the whole time.
Nani's the one pouring
Just,
the boot. What's going on?
Just was just like, he's just like, oh, he's just sort of like definitely observing everything.
Yeah.
And it's just hovering, but you sort of, it's not until like subsequent viewers where you're focusing not just on what's happening in front of you, realize, oh, it's like every time.
It's like, how does she make it into every shot?
Just actively.
Just fun story. I
Yeah.
went as a kid. We went on a school trip to Pompeii, And I don't know how it happened, but we got home and like the the photos got developed, and in the background of every single one of our photos was just some random guy, just like hovering. Was he stalking us? Probably, but he was just like so neutral, just a neutral face in the background of all the photos that I took.
We had
And some of my friends as well. It was just like he was just like, "I'm gonna see how many I can get into." Like, he would just be there, looking at camera, just staring. And it was just
it's like every time.
it's just the most terrifying thing. Anyway, sorry,
We
continue.
had
That's what I assume is happening with Nani.
started like, and it's like I said, it's like it's a thing, but it's like, it's enough that it's become a pattern. But like, I go to a friend's wedding or something, and I make sure I try and get like a video of the first dance, because I've had a couple of times where like I've recorded it and then been like, oh, I made this video, and then have people go, oh, yeah, we've got like still photography of it. We don't actually have like a video
Yeah.
video. And so I was like, oh, I might as well just try and on the off. It's like, even if they don't need it, it's like whatever. It's also kind of cool if I put it on Facebook. It reminds me. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
congratulate your friends on the wedding.
Yeah.
And you're like, we had one where we were in Bulgaria, because that's where the bride was, and they had their family, and they had the wedding in like this function area at this hotel that most people were staying at. And for the whole night, there was this one waiter who, I'm trying to remember, I think we sort of dubbed him. It was like, was it? Because I was like, can't remember the name of the author, but like the Da Vinci Code. How I had like, yeah, the main, like one of the antagonists is this sort of this bald albino guy, and this guy being slightly pale, bald, and just a little weird. It was sort of like, oh, these Da Vinci Code. But he was like, we had like legitimate thoughts of like, is he trying to drug one of the girls? Is he trying to like? And so there was a point where it was like a couple of the guys were just sort of like, we're gonna keep an eye on this guy, and then ultimately it was like, nope, he's just being really pushy about alcohol. He like, he had at one point like a guy was like, oh, can I get a drink? And then he was like, went to the bathroom, and then he came out of the bathroom, and the guy was just there holding the glass, and it was like, you get asked him for a whiskey, and give you like, he just filled the glass, and you just be like, what the shit is happening?
Yeah, have a real drink.
And it wasn't until like the next, like much later, we discovered that he was actually like pushing alcohol that wasn't from like the stuff that they'd provided. It's like, this is the alcohol. So he was actually like giving alcohol that they would have to pay for because it was from the hotel.
Right.
So it's like, right, he's just running up the tab.
He's just here to sell,
which he's not what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, so he's being weird about it, but he's not like.
That's a dick move.
But when I recorded, I didn't notice it when I recorded it, but when I recorded the dance, he walks through midway and like pauses briefly, looks at the camera, and then just keeps going. And I just didn't realize, because I was holding the thing and just watching, and I wasn't watching it back. We're all just like, it's him.
It's that guy. It's that guy.
The guy.
Call him. Call the cops. We found him.
What is he? Oh.
That's very funny.
But
yes, that hilarious interlude, and there's a slightly swaying Ola.
Yeah, so Henry comes up. Hey.
How was your? Did you enjoy talking to Friedrich? Was that good?
Yeah, I don't know. It was probably good. I feel like I fanboyed a little.
I kind of figured you would. I expected that.
I think he was kind enough to let that moment pass, and otherwise it just sort of talked about fencing. And
it's good that Lena let go of your arm eventually. Thought I was gonna have to do something about that.
Yeah, I may have gotten a little tunnel vision with Friedrich, and I didn't even think about it until like the end when I was like, finally, obviously occurred to me, maybe she was being a bit much. So I apologize that I didn't.
It's all good in the hood. I think you might have to drive.
I was.
We can wait. We can just like hang out if you want.
We could just go if
We
you
could
want.
go.
I think you've.
Ola looks around. And then goes to kiss Henri. How does he respond?
Yeah.
Okay. That kiss is very specifically because public. And it is poorly disguised as such. And then they say, yeah, let's go. Let's go. I'm tired. So tired of all of this.
Okay.
You mad at me?
No. Why would I be mad at you?
Oh, because I had a drink.
Yeah, that's. Sort of glances at like a group, not just that they're being refilled, but before they start refilling, they've been replacing glasses, and there's a couple there. It's sort of like, yeah, it's a party though.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry about it later. Future Ola problem.
Future Ola wants to talk about it. Future Henri will be there.
That's why I like you.
I'm glad.
Okay, let's go.
And sort of leave. Sort of brief goodbyes to everyone they passed, but I don't think Henri certainly wouldn't be trying to sort of like do the rounds before leaving and just be like,
Mm-mm.
"Where
I don't think
we
Ola's
out."
thinking that way.
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if Jade sees what the state that Ola's in, but I don't know that they would necessarily stop them.
yeah. And Henri probably would probably text both, not like right then and there, but like maybe like later, text both. Definitely Jade, probably even Neil to an extent. Just be like, it's awesome getting to see you guys. We had to like leave it early, but just sort of like, we just had to leave early. Would have been cool to catch up more. Should definitely do something. Kind of like, it's like they're probably the two who's like would have wanted to sort of make a point of like saying goodbye to, but he's like, it's not important right now. And it's like, yeah, there's some weirdness with Neil. That's whatever. We'll just have to do sort that. That's something we can sort later.
On the Piste.
Yeah.
sort it out right before
Yeah,
it's milked.
just like I'm gonna but yeah, gets into it. It'd be Solar's car. But he takes the keys and takes her home.
They'd have to stop at one point for throw up time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing of like, I'm impressed that didn't happen earlier.
I can hold it. And then, like, within, I don't know, 10 seconds of that, just immediate pass out.
I'm fine. I can hold my own.
I can hold. I have so much practice. I'm practiced. Which is frankly its own problem.
It is a degree of like, I guess, in terms of like awareness of it being an issue, it's like another sort of like Henry being like, this might have been more of a problem than that problem might have been more developed than I realized, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole thing of like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, gets them home. Helps them to, if they're asleep, just carries them, I guess. Maybe just like gets them to bed, leaves. If Ola's mum's up, just sort of like, nah.
Yeah.
It's a good party kind of thing, just sort of pleasantries, but just like, I gotta get home.
Yeah.
Equally tired, as it were. And Harry just walks them. It's not hugely far.
Ola runs past every day. It's not.
It's not. It's within the
yeah.
the area.
Yeah.
But doesn't like go into any detail with Ola's mum about. He's just like, it's end of a fun party, got tired, kind of thing. Doesn't say anything, I guess, to concern them. And goes home.
What a scene.
Yeah.
What an event.
What an event.
What an event.
Did you want to add anything for like Ola like waking up or anything, or just want to sort of move on? We probably will need to sort of wrap the episode up. So we probably might just do like the initial start of the.
We could start the next one with the actual match.
Yeah.
And end here.
That's actually probably a better idea.
Yeah. Because it's been 3 hours, and I'm fairly sure places need to be got to. How does that? What's the end of that? Where is Henry at? Just to wrap it up.
I think there's a lot of like. Like the prevailing thing in that moment is like, was the drinking. Like it was. It's not something they've like discussed. In terms of like, it got to the point where they had poos on them and they were drinking throughout the day.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, that's but like, how much of a problem had it been? And it was like realizing it may have been like considerable.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of realization that Henry sort of like doesn't really know, but it's like it did seem to like escalate pretty quickly. He's not like, it's also like actually noticing that sort of bitterness from Neil as well. It's just sort of like not necessarily the cause for it. It's a bit sort of like taken aback by that, but it's like what he initially thought was just like, oh, it was just had initially been like that was weird, but then ultimately had to sort of recontextualizing here is like, no, that was the kick in the ass I needed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. And then having that conversation again and just going, if not as badly in terms of like that the vibe between them, but like worse. And he's just like, I don't. That was also kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Finding out he's not like the fact that Ola's decided to go pro is like not really like, but like the offer from Ash Point is a bit surprising, and it's like, but it's like it's kind of tertiary at this point.
Yeah.
It's more sort of like, oh, that'd be, but like ultimately in that one, it's kind of like, I mean, they don't get to hang out as much, but like they've already they you
live
know
next door to each other. It's not
they
like
it's like yeah, it's like it's not like you're moving to a different city or something. It's like end of the day. So like those things are like, it was a surprise at the time, but like they're not. And I guess also there's a degree of like this that there's clearly some interest from and then family just in general, and it's like there's a degree of like that was cool, but also he's like, oh, he's like Lena, someone he has to worry about. It's like, or not even worry about it, it's like, do I have to have a conversation there or something?
Is there something I need to do here?
Like I'll probably have to have a conversation with Ola, but like do I need to have a conversation with Lena as well to be like, hey,
Yeah,
we need to set some boundaries here. It's like, or like, but it's like also the degree is like, is that just, there's a part of me who's like, probably just like that with everyone kind of thing.
that's such a hopeful view. That's such a Henry's such a hopeful boy.
It doesn't. It's not necessarily like that would make this less awkward, but more just sort of like almost like self-deprecating in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I mean, like maybe she's in, but it's like, I mean, come on. Much more likely that she's just kind of like that with everyone than it is that she's specifically wanting. It's like, that's just silly.
That's just silly. Like, she's hung on everyone. That's what she'd do.
Yeah, I've definitely had that conversation with people, and they've just been like, "Oh, buddy."
No. I hang on everyone.
And I was like, well, I wish you had this conversation. I mean, in my case, it was like, I really wish you'd told me this like a year ago when it was relevant and not in hindsight. But okay, thank you for that regret that I now have. Cool.
Thanks now. Thanks for telling me now. Now it's great. I think when Ola wakes up, Ola's going to have regrets and concerns. A lot of people saw them drunk. And I don't know that they entirely remember what they have said. Not blackout drunk. I don't think they were blackout drunk, but like, to what extent did I say things that can be misconstrued? Yeah. And who heard what I said when I said what I said? Because at some point there, it's not that I don't remember what I said, but I was not clear on who was around when I said what I said.
Yeah. It's
but
not
also,
an issue with the people you said it to.
It's about who's watching and who's listening while I say it. And also the, like there's something about Henry specifically seeing them drunk or drinking. There's something in that that is especially mortifying, and so that situation is gonna
I mean, to an
mess
extent,
it up
I
a bit.
just, I sort of talk um, between sessions where you sort of talk that Ola would be in a way like actively hiding
Mhm.
or just avoiding that any kind of conversation to sort of
Yes.
go too deeply on that and just be like,
Yep.
we don't have
Let's
to
just
worry
not talk
about
about it.
you don't have to worry about it. I got this in hand, and that's like, well,
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I can, like, have all of this by myself. I can deal with all of this, plus, what I wanna do with my career, plus study, plus all of this. I'm fine. Let's just enjoy our time together, is very much where Ola's been at. So, don't know what's gonna happen there. But for now, we should finish up.
yes.
Yes.
And next week we will
Start with
do the
start with
match.
combat, as it were.
Fight.
Start with combat.
Sharks versus the demons.
Yeah. Very fun.
Yeah.
Have a fight with your boy Neil.
Yeah, look, all they need to do is just hit each other with sticks for a bit and it'll be fine. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Metal sticks with skill, that's all.
Ah,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will finish things up here and thank you for joining us.
thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.